So it's time for Wednesday night story time. And because this is reading month, we're going to read some stories about reading in the library. And the first book is called The Night Library, and it's by David Zeltser. It was the night before my 8th birthday, and I was having trouble falling asleep. A thick blanket of snow had silenced the streets outside. I could hear my parents' whispers in the hallway. I heard footsteps approaching, and my door opened. "Would you like your present now?" asked my father. "Really?" I said excitedly. "What is it?" "A book," said my mother. "I thought we could read it together." I stared at it. "A book?" I said, frowning. I couldn't understand it. My parents knew that I liked toys, games, and movies, not books, and they left. I fell asleep into a restless sleep. In the middle of the night, I was wakened by a strange sound coming from outside. It sounded like a deep purring. When I peeked through the window, I almost fell out of bed. There was a lion on the lawn looking up at me. I thought it might be a statue until I saw the enormous paw prints in the snow. The lion purred again. It was a welcoming sound, and I soon found myself outside. "Climb on," said the lion in a deep, gentle voice. "Where are we going?" I asked. "We're going to meet Patience," he said. "I am Fortitude." The lion looked oddly familiar. Fortitude whisked me silently across our snow-covered street. The wind whistled in my ears. As we picked up speed, we raced through Woodlawn Cemetery and past Yankee Stadium. We sped along the moonlit river toward the skyscrapers of Manhattan. Eventually, we turned onto 41st Street, entering the heart of the frozen city. We finally stopped in front of a huge marble building. It had arched windows and 3 bronze doors, all shut tight. Carved across the top of the edifice were the words, "The New York Public Library." "Library?" I said. "You brought me to a library in the middle of the night?" Fortitude turned and regarded me, eyes twinkling. One of the doors swung silently open, and a light flickered on. The lion carried me inside. Fortitude bounded up the steps of the grand hall. He carried me into a magnificent room with dozens of long, empty tables. Most impressive of all were the towering shelves holding countless books. We seemed to be alone, but I heard a strange humming sound coming from the shelves. I peered at some of the books up close. They were moving. Some jittered, some swayed, and a few twirled gracefully. I reached for a book, but it jumped out of my hand. I laughed as another skittered away from me. "Adult books can be difficult to grasp," said the lion. "Let's go to the children's section." Am I dreaming? I asked as he carried me down the staircase. In the children's section, the books were much more playful. Every chair was a ladder and every table a stage. A jumble of books had arranged themselves to form a rabbit, dashing away from another pile shaped like a man carrying a rake. That's Peter Rabbit and Mr. Graker, I blurted out. My grandpa had read The Tale of Peter Rabbit to me dozens of times when I was little. And they're playing the Cat in the Hat, I cried. My grandpa taught me to read with that story. Whistle sounded, and a train made entirely of books chug, chug, chug through the room. The Polar Express, I whispered to the lion. My grandpa and I used to read that together every Christmas. Why did you stop? Asked Fortitude. My grandpa died. Suddenly, the books dropped their games and began to form something new. What do you think they're going to form? The books came together in the shape of my grandpa and me in his favorite chair, reading together. As Fortitude watched, I reached out and touched the figure of my grandpa. I gasped as I saw that these were the very books he had once read to me. Looks like you found your books, said a voice just behind me. I turned to face another lion. I am Patience, he said in a quiet, strong voice. I looked from him to the figure of my grandpa. Those books have been waiting for you, said Patience. I stayed for a long time, looking through the books. Each one brought me a different memory of my grandpa and me, reading and talking together. I also found some books that I'd never seen before. I was surprised to hear myself asking the lions, can I take some of these home? The lions looked sullenly at each other. That can be arranged, said Patience, but first I need to get you back before dawn. As we walked out of the library into the cold moonlight, Fortitude kept onto an empty pedestal and lay down, staring straight ahead. Thank you for everything, I said. I hope to see you soon, he murmured. In the wink of an eye, he turned to stone. I stared, astonished. Then I remembered. Grandpa had once told me about the two famous lion statues that guarded the New York Public Library. I looked at Fortitude's grave marble face one last time. Then I climbed into Patience's back and we headed home. When I woke up the next morning, my parents offered to return the book they had bought for me and get something else for my birthday. No, I said, I want to keep it. What changed your mind? Asked my father. Well, I said, mainly thinking of Grandpa. I was pretty sure I had dreamed everything else. Until I walked outside that morning. On our doormat was a shiny new library card and with some very big tooth marks. So I hope you like that story. What part of the story did you like best? I liked the part where he saw all the books running out of his grasp. He was trying to grasp them, and the books said, "Well, reading an adult book can be hard to to grab." So they moved and skittered and away, and I liked also the fact that he was at first disappointed that he was getting a book for his birthday, but then going to the library, he remembered and he saw those books. All of a sudden, he remembered being with Grandpa and reading those stories and how he felt. And then all of a sudden, he wanted to check out more books, books that he hadn't read. Thought it was a neat ending. And were you surprised when the library card had very large teeth marks on it? Do you think the story really happened? Or was it something he was dreaming? So we also have another story. You can add your own comments of stories that you liked reading, maybe stories you've heard a lot of different times. And maybe you can add in comments, maybe an adult that you enjoyed reading those books with. The next book I'm going to read is also about being in a library and reading. And this book is called Bats at the Library, and it's written and illustrated by Brian Lees. Another inky evening's here. The air is cool and calm and clear. We feasted, fluttered, swooped, and soared, and yet we're still a little bored. See a bat outside, flying outside? They come out usually at dusk. Their flight patterns are a little different than birds. All this sameness leaves us blue and makes us ache for something new. That word spreads quickly from afar. A window has been left ajar. Can it be true? Oh, can it be? Yes! That night at the library. The sky is lively as we race together toward our favorite place. Eager wings beat autumn air. Look, that's it. We're almost there. Then, squeezed together, wing to wing, we rocket through the opening. You see the opening? The window? We've watched for this night all year, but this is it at last. We're here. For most old bats, this isn't new. They've got lots of things to do. They'll flutter off and lose themselves among the books lined up on shelves. Other bats in munchy moods will study guides to fancy foods or hang out by a lamp instead to talk about the books they've read. But little bats will have to learn the reason that we must return. The ones who haven't come before have no idea what's in store. Some of them will drift away and figure out a game to play. like shaping shadows on the wall or wingtip tag around the hall. So how do you think they play wingtip tag? This big box is loads of fun, lasting brighter than the sun. Instead of copying books from shelves, we can duplicate ourselves. Doesn't matter where you look, there's nothing like a pop-up book. The fountain water's nice and cool and makes a splendid swimming pool. Please keep it down. You must behave. This library is not your cave. It's hard to settle down and read when life flits by on in a dizzy speed. But story time is just the thing to rest a play exhausted wing. And if we listen, we will hear some distant voices drawing near. Louder, louder, louder still. They coax and pull us in until everyone, old bat or pup, has been completely swallowed up and lives inside a book instead of simply hearing something read. Do you ever feel like that? You're actually galloping on a horse or in the middle of a soccer game or whatever, in the middle of a mystery. Feel like you're transported to some other place in time in a castle. Maybe you're a queen. Breathless, lost within the tale. No one sees the sky grow pale. Oh no, what's happening? What is that light? A lamp? The moon? Our bookish feast can't end so soon. It feels as though we've just begun. But now we leave our books half done. Ugh, they have to leave. Through the window into sky. It's much too late. We've got to fly. But maybe a librarian will give us bats this chance again and leave a window open wide to let us share the world inside. For now, we'll dream of things we've read, a universe inside each head. Every evening, one and all will listen for that late night call. Can it be true? Oh, can it be? Yes, that night at the library. So, what about this book? Did you have a favorite part for this book? What did you like? Did you like the part where they fly across and they find a window open and they go into the window and then they find all those books? Do you like it when they get lost and all of a sudden they lose time, space? They don't even know where they're at. They feel like they're right in the middle of the book. And then something happens. What happens? The sun starts to come up. It's getting brighter outside. So they have to end their story a little too early. They only half read their books. But at the end, they hope something will happen. They hope that a librarian will leave the window open again. They can go to some new place in their mind. So, leave us a comment on Facebook. Let me know which book you liked best and what was your favorite part of the story, and who do you like most reading stories with? Do you read stories? Do you have stories read to you? Or maybe you take turns? And remember what book you learned how to read? How exciting it was to read that very first book. So, hoping this is Bonnie Balda, and I'm hoping you enjoy this beautiful warm day and enjoy these two stories. And I'll be seeing you soon. Grandma Reads a Story will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and we've got a special treat on Saturday. We have a story called Easter, not Bunny, Easter Skunk. So, and we are going to have some we're going to have a drawing for a couple of baskets and also a chocolate dinosaur. So, hope to see you on Zoom. This is Bonnie Balda, and I hope you have a happy and healthy day. Goodbye.